I'm Jupiter, and this is a tutorial on how to make an Hi, I'm Jupiter, and this is my tutorial on how to make a Hi, I'm Jupiter, and this is my Kandi tutorial for how to make an space-themed rotator cuff. For the way I make this cuff, I use two different kinds of string. I use this 1mm stretchy fabric string, and I also use this 0.5 millimeter string. So I'm going to start out with making the base of this cuff. So I'm going to take the 1mm thicker string and just stretch it to my arm's length approximately. Now I'm going to add 27 black beads onto this string, but I'm also going to incorporate some little dark blue beads in there just to give it a little bit more of a galaxy look. And I have fairly thin arms, so if you need to adjust the sizing, add multiples of 3, so you could do 30 or 33 beads depending on how you want your cuff. It just needs to be a multiple of 3. Now that I have all of these beads on the string, I'm going to just tie it off. Remember to consistently tie everything really tight. Now I've triple knotted this and it just looks like a regular single with a giant string. Now I'm just going to take the long end of my string and thread it through one bead. Now that gives me a nice little jumping off point, and I'm going to put 3 more black beads onto my string. Now that I have 3 beads on my string, I'm going to skip 2 beads on the original and thread it through the next one. So now you can see where I brought it in, placed 3 on, skipped these 2, and put it that way. And then you're just going to do that whole thing all the way around. Again, I'm going to incorporate blue as I want it, but you don't have to. This is why it had to be multiples of 3 in order to have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, etc. Also, while you're doing this, make sure to pull the string tight each time and make sure that they form these little spikes. Now that I've gotten mine mostly all the way around, this last one here, I'm going to go into the one I started with and then go up through 2 more to get out of this top spike. Okay, now that I have these spikes all the way around and my string is run through the top of a spike, I'm going to add 3 more beads and connect it to the adjacent spike. As you can see, these ones aren't really looking like spikes right now, but that's okay, they will be later. As you begin to pull your string tight, you'll notice it kind of sitting up, and that's making the cuff. Now that we are again on the last one of this layer, I'm again going to add 3 beads and thread it through to the top of one of the spikes that don't really look like spikes. For this next row, you're just going to do the exact same thing you did on the previous row and put 3 beads there and connect the 2 points. Now that we have it this much, I put it back through that one. You're going to go up to the spike again, and guess what? Do it again. Now I'm done with this row, I'm going to again feed it up to the spike and do another row. Now that we've finished this row, we're going to go again up, which I already did, and do another one. I am definitely running out of string here, so I'm going to just tie it and tie a new one on. Now that I've attached this other string, we are going to do one more row. Now that I have all of these finished rows, I'm going to finish it by stringing it through the top of a spike again, of course, and putting 2 beads between it and another spike, just like you can see down here, there are 2 prominent lower beads. Again, make sure to consistently pull your string tight during this part. Congratulations! You have finished the base of the space cuff. Now we need to decorate it. And I'm just going to use this string that I already have that I attached right here. But you can just attach another one if you don't have enough string, which I'm going to need to do for the bottom anyway, because I only have this much. Okay, from here, I'm going to go down 1 into these X's for the X base cuff. There are these X's, and then there's kind of a row on top. I'm going to go 1 down, and I'm going to go on to the X. Now you can see that the X is kind of here, and I am in the top right corner of the X. And I'm going to add 3 beads and connect it to the bottom corner of the X. Now in these little sub-spikes, I'm going to get a little bit more creative with the galaxy print. This is where it can get a little tricky because the spikes are also going to have a string threaded around it again to make them more spiky, but you can't do that right away because it doesn't work like that with the string. You'd have to go all the way around. So I'm just going to move on to the next X and thread my string into there and go like that. And so it's going to be a zigzag pattern. Also, I'm using the tip of the spike as a star in this cuff. For a visual, I went down from the top here, made this spike on the X, went through those two beads, and made a spike up the opposite way on the other X. Now that you've finished these really oddly placed spikes, I'm going to go back through them and place one bead on one side of the X, feed it through this one, and put one on the other side to make a spike. As you can see here, I have now put one on this side, thread it through the white star, and put it out to the other side and connected it to the top left of the X. Now that you have all of these spikes, tie and cut off your end piece and move to tie another string onto here because these X's also need spikes. Now I have tied another string onto the bottom of my cuff and I am going to observe the X here and put it through this one and just start the process over again, going from here to here, up through here into here, from here down to here, and so on. Now that the spikes on the bottom have their bases, I'm again going in and feeding it through the white bead or the star and putting it back through the X. Voila! Both sides are done, and now I'm going to tie and cut off this string. Alright then, we have this cuff, and now we just need to make the rotator part. From here, you could take it multiple ways. I'm going to do a sun and moon rotating cuff, but you could just make it more galaxy. You could really do anything you want. For this part, I'm going to use the 0.5 millimeter string because it's stretchier in general, mine is at least, and that'll make it be able to fit over and onto this rotator part. Again, I've gathered about an arm's length of string. Also for this, I'm going to be using a peyote stitch. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. Okay, so for this, I took both sides of my wingspan length of string and I put them together, and then I put 2 beads, one on either side, and let them fall to the bottom. Now those yellow beads were brighter. I'm going to use this one in the middle. It's just a pale yellow, and I'm going to put it on both sides of the string. So it should look like this. Now I'm going to repeat that first part and put 2 more yellow beads onto it. So this is what it should look like. Then I'm going to take my string and through the bead on the end, I'm just going to put it back through that yellow bead. Now I'm going to place a pale yellow bead on my string and put it on there so that it kind of touches the other one. Now that I have this pale yellow bead on there, I'm just going to put the string up through the other bright yellow one. Now that I have this bead on, this string and this string are 2 separate things. So I'm going to put this other string that I left alone through the other, just one, through the other side, whereas the other string I put through this one and strung this one on, this other string is going to go through here. Now that this string is out of that, we are just going to put it right back through the one that it came from. If my explanation isn't good enough for this, which it probably isn't, look at Slacker's Tragedy on YouTube. That's the tutorial I'm following because I've actually never done an odd peyote stitch either. Then you're going to string on another yellow bead here on the other string, and now you have the 2 strings that are going close to each other the same direction. Then once the string is through the middle bead, I'm just going to put on another yellow. So now it should look like this. Then with that other piece of string, now you have this that goes slack here, but now you have this, and you're going to put this string through this bead, and then you just continue switching beads until you're done. I'm probably not going to film the rest of me making this, so go to Slacker's Tragedy's video on how to make an even and an odd peyote stitch. It really helped me. Okay, now I have all of these rows, and I'm going to begin doing the moon part of this, where I'm just going to use a bunch of grays and blues in order to achieve that look. When you do this, make sure it's about halfway around your cuff so that you can have half moon, half sun, if that's what you're doing. Like I said, this part can be your own creativity. Now I have this done. We have the sun and the moon. Now that I have this safely tied off, I'm going to use this excess string to connect the two sides, and when you finish it off, make sure that they actually connect, because if this had two more on it, there would be a large gap. Alright, I have now tied off and cut off the ends, and I have this, and you'll notice it's significantly larger than my wrist, but that's how it's supposed to be because it's going to go on here. So I tied my larger string in the area between the yellow and the gray. I tied it just before the yellow starts. For my spikes, I'm doing this little pattern, but you can really do anything you want. You could do a solid color, you could do anything. So I put it through to a gap between two pale yellow beads. So here's my first little ray of the sun, and I'm just gonna go around the sun and I'll show you when it's done. When you finish your spikes, you need to pull it very tight in order to achieve the spiked look. Now all that's left to do is connect the two pieces, so I don't think most people need a tutorial for this, but it is on there. Oh, it looks so good! Oh, I'm so excited! Look at that! We did it! If you've made it this far in the video, and if you made this, leave a comment, tell me how it went, and post about it and tag me in it if you want, because I would love to see that. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and fun. Bye!